listening to a special bonus episode that was executive produced by Ben Nemi. Thank you, Ben, for sponsoring this episode, which we could also call an extra-sode, or just an executive produced episode, or bonus episode.
Exprosode.
Exprosode. Thank you, Ben Nemi.
I
Thank
said that.
you.
That was me.
Thank you.
I said that. Thanks, Ben.
Totes Recall.
Welcome to Totes Recall, the podcast where we talk about a movie we don't remember very well, maybe because we have never seen it. And then we stop recording. We eat pizzas and salads and watch said movie and then return. Now we definitely have seen it. And we talk about it again with new knowledge based on the viewing and our own lives and anything. My name is Dan.
Wow.
This is Molly.
I'm also Dan.
And I'm Beth.
And our movie this very special extra-brosode is Rope.
Rope.
Ooh.
A movie directed by...
Alfred Hitchcock.
That's the one.
That's my only fact.
Okay. Starring, I think, Jimmy Stewart.
Sounds correct.
That's my only fact.
Great.
I've never seen this movie.
I've also never seen this movie.
Nor have I.
Oh, no. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Beth, have you seen this?
I have, but I cannot remember what happened.
3-1. It's fine.
Oh, no.
No, this is
another-
totally fine. Like half of the episodes we've done where it's been a 3-1, it's like Molly's seen it, and then it turns out she hasn't seen it. So
Yeah.
It's
I
true.
think this movie came out in 1964.
19 schlabbity-doo. That's I'll say 62. 65.
Wow.
I'll go 59.
Ooh, spicy.
I'll say 58.
Wow.
Wow. What a spread. And it's got Jimmy Stewart and a rope.
You're
Now-
sure about that? You're sure about that?
It's my bet. We got to do something this first half. He probably is someone going to hang from a rope?
Ooh.
Or is the rope good or bad? I bet the rope is bad. The rope is the villain of this tale.
I mean, the rope
Jimmy
is
Stewart versus the rope.
the rope is, I assume, neutral in this situation. It's the wielder of the rope,
Okay.
right?
The roper?
Or is it just enough rope to hang yourself with?
Ah.
Maybe it's about someone who isn't meeting their deadlines because they think they have plenty of time, but they don't.
Yeah. Okay.
So
here's what I think we should do. I think we all, ending with Beth, should give a 60-second summary based on whatever we know about this movie, having never seen it or seen it but don't remember.
Great. I love it.
It's my segment, so I will volunteer to go first.
Are you
You're
ready?
each doing 60 seconds?
Yes,
Okay.
sequentially.
Ready?
Got it.
Wait, who's going
Yeah.
after you?
I'll go.
Are we just going to roll with it?
Yeah.
I love
we
it.
are.
Molly will go next, then Dan, then Beth.
Great. Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Go.
Okay, we open on a cactus. And we see Jimmy Stewart riding a horse out there. Ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum. But it's still the 60s. And so there's a lot of oil wells, I think, happening behind him. And we know he's a cowboy and an oil man. And then cut to the business office. And he sees someone out a window up to no good. And he's like, what's going on out there? So he
30
gets
seconds.
his rope. Oh, shit. He gets his rope and he tries to rope him, but he misses. And then it becomes a cat and mouse game between Jimmy Stewart, his rope, and we'll say it's a lady outside that he's trying to rope.
Uh-huh.
And then in the end, Oh, in the end, he ropes the lady, but the lady is
10,
him.
9,
Is the big reveal.
Oh.
7, 6,
Oh, and
5,
Alfred Hitchcock
4,
is the horse.
3, 2, 1. Molly.
Credits.
We open on an office building. It's in a city, and there's lots of city stuff to tell you it's a city. And we have a hapless employee who's wanting to do a good job but has obstacles. And you could see a calendar behind him, and there's like a big circle around a particular date.
Ooh.
And you can see that date is approaching, and he just looks more and more stressed out because he isn't going to meet his deadline.
30 seconds.
And then at one point, someone in the movie says, "You've got to believe me." And at another point in the movie, Alfred Hitchcock makes a cameo. And at another point in the movie, there's danger and life and death situations. And there's like shadow play on the wall and some
8,
very cool
7,
angles
6,
of
5,
filmography
4,
or cinema
3,
photography,
2,
if you know what you're
1.
talking about.
Stop.
Okay, bye.
Me. Okay, we open on a fancy house. Jimmy Stewart is wearing a tux. He's a rich man for reasons that are unclear and never discussed. He is maybe has a weird relationship with a woman who is dressed also very well and also has like is lit very starkly to show drama, and also because Hitchcock likes to show off ladies. 30 seconds, me. Somebody gets murdered with a rope, and that person who gets murdered is not the lady. It's somebody else, and they're like, where did this dead person come from in our house? Oh, no. And then at some point, 5 seconds, the constable
4,
shows up, and the constable's
3,
like, where's
2,
rope? Man.
1,
and he
0.
goes to jail. Beth.
Okay, we open on an apartment.
Ooh.
There is going to be a dinner party, I believe, and so people are going to come over. They're getting ready for the party. Then somebody... keep in mind, I'm the only person who's actually seen it, and these are based off of real
wasting
things.
time. You're
memories.
wasting time.
Okay, so I think someone is murdered with a rope, but the rope, somebody comes into the apartment and hides the rope in the apartment, and then all these people come over.
30 seconds.
And there's like... Everything is done in one shot and in
Whoa.
one location. So it's all takes place in this apartment.
The magic of film.
It's the magic of film. There are technically cuts that where like things are zoomed in on someone's back or something like that. But otherwise, it I believe is based off of a play. Jimmy
10
Stewart
seconds.
probably solves the murder at the end. I don't
3,
really remember anything else that
5,
happens.
4,
And
3,
there's like another friend.
2.
They're friends, college friends.
1. Time.
Wow.
We did it.
Wow, we did
Ooh,
it.
I do not remember. Mine is probably the most off, honestly.
That can't be
I
right.
mean, I don't know. Mine sounded pretty terrible.
I'm very
It's okay.
confident in mine.
Don't try to talk me out of it.
What?
Turns out it was a Western the whole time.
Yeah.
Forgot about that element.
I feel like we should explain to our listeners that typically what happens is we pick a movie that we have seen, but in this case,
I said you're going
we
to
had-
blame the executive producer on our
no,
failing.
I'm just saying the executive producer has picked the movie that they want, and it just happens to be a movie that we haven't seen. So if this is the first episode you've ever listened to Totes Recall, just know that it's really special and different.
It is special and different.
It's-
And I will tell you that the only reason that I've seen Rope is a friend of mine went to college in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And she took some improv classes. And at the time,
no.
I had never done improv, and I thought it was super cool. And so she met this other a friend
Alfred
in
Hitchcock?
Chicago who, yes, Alfred Hitchcock. He
Famous
also
supervisor.
went to the same school, and he was like, this is really... improv is cool. I'm good at improv, and I might try out for SNL. That's how good I am. So, cut to summertime. My friend comes home for summer break, and this friend comes to visit. And actually, she is like, "Oh, what? she was talking to me. She's like, what kind of things do you like? And I was like, oh, I like movies. I'm watching AFI's 100 Greatest Films.
Wow.
And she was like, oh, what's your favorite Alfred Hitchcock movie? And I was like, I know movies. And then she was like, mine is Rope. And so I was like, oh, I got to watch this movie because she's so cool. And hers favorite one is Rope. So that's why I've
Did the
seen
person
Rope.
Great.
get on SNL? Did they make it?
No.
Oh,
Their name
I was
was
really-
Maya Rudolph. No.
my association that's I guess it. Okay, my association with Alfred Hitchcock is that my sister was really into film and she liked Alfred Hitchcock. And that came in handy when she was applying for a job at the video store down the street from us, which was not Gary's, which was what Dan's video store was. Ours was Movies Worth
Hilarious.
Seeing.
Movies for seeing?
Movies worth seeing.
Oh, worth seeing.
That's not as good.
Yeah, and our family had like membership number 89 or something. We were pretty early there. And I think they
NBD.
also had brown VHS.
Oh, wow. Maybe that was a cheap case cover.
Yeah. And anyway, my sister applied for a job there, and they asked her what her favorite director was. And she either said Spike Lee or Alfred Hitchcock. And they were impressed because they had only heard the other person for everybody else they had asked. But you know what? She still didn't get the job. So I don't know what that means.
Wow. She should have gone to Gary's.
Yep.
Right?
Should have gone to Gary's. That's the slogan,
That was,
right?
that was their tagline, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
in
you
the
only like Alfred Hitchcock? Should have gone to Gary's.
Like
We
every
got Hitchcock.
commercial.
We got Spike Lee.
Yeah.
We got them both. Both of the directors you like.
Both. Except for that other one. We don't got that one.
Please, you got to help me. This cool friend of a friend from Chicago told me to watch this movie, and I want to watch it to impress them. Do you have it? No.
Oh, who's it
sorry.
directed by? We got Hitchcock. We got Spike Lee. That's what we got at Gary's video.
That's it. That's the list.
That's
And
the
Monty
list.
Python's Quest for the Holy Grail.
Alfred Hitchcock, Spike Lee, and one absurdist British comedy. That's all the film you need to know to be a real cinephile.
Yeah.
That's
all
No
Gary's
women
view.
allowed
Seeing.
at Gary's video.
Oh, no.
Sorry, Gary.
Oh, that's rough.
They've been closed for like 20 years. It's
Well,
fine.
probably because they wouldn't put women in their stores.
Yeah, Mary's video put him out of business.
Mary's video.
The future of video rental is female.
Yes. That's the
As they
future
say.
of
Down at
video
Mary's,
rental.
we have all the directors, including women. So take that, Gary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to shop at Mary's. That sounds fun.
It does sound
We
fun.
got Gerwig. We got
What?
the other one.
No, if they've been closed for 20 years, they wouldn't have Gerwig.
Well, Mary's did. The bit was that Mary's didn't close.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Mary's is
Still
future.
around.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Okay, fine.
It's like Penny Marshall. Sure, we got her.
They got
Oh, no.
Marshall and Gerwig.
That's
That's
it?
it.
Oh, no.
Yep.
We have
Both-
Marshall.
both
we
directors.
Have Gerwig.
That's it. So you can watch fun old romantic comedies or like 3 movies
Yeah.
from the last 5 years. Those are
So
your
no
choices.
Sofia Coppola.
Sure. Oh, no. Sorry. Mary said no.
I'm Mary. Okay,
Oh, and who
Rope,
directed The Hurt Locker? Catherine
Bigelow.
Point Break
Yes.
is Catherine Bigelow.
Point Break.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd read Point Break from Mary's video for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's the #1 seller.
Yeah.
Seller.
Okay.
Yeah, you sell it and then they sell it back. That's how Mary's
That's-
video
oh,
works.
wow. Okay.
Oh, it's
Be
like a
kind,
definite
rewind,
rental.
sell it back.
Put a deposit down.
I'm shocked that
Okay, the movie
they're the
Rope-
ones that stayed in business.
And Jimmy Stewart. Anybody else?
I don't know.
I honestly, Jimmy
lady?
Stewart's probably in it,
We
but
st-
I
oh,
don't
yeah,
remember
we don't
him
even know
being in
that.
it. But he probably is.
Oh, what a-
'Cause Hitchcock had to have some.
What am I
somebody in
going to
it.
do with all this rope? I can't even. I can't even
Oh,
get up.
now the cattle are getting away. I gotta lasso him in.
I invested all my wealth into rope. What was I thinking? I'm going to have to sell this giant mansion and this tuxedo that I wear all the time.
I'm also wondering, like, okay, I was thinking about the Bechdel-Wallace test.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we should bet on that.
I'm going to say
I don't
no.
even know if there's a woman in it. I guess there's a dinner party, so maybe there are.
There's got to be at least
Women
one
love dinner parties.
sexy broad for the dudes out there. Alfred Hitchcock was like, yeah, let's get a sexy broad in this one-shot rope movie. This
But
is
I
how
think
I
it's
sound.
based
Alfred
off of a
Hitchcock.
play.
And women aren't in plays? I agree.
Yeah.
Well,
And if they are, they're played by men. Shakespeare
Exactly.
knows that.
He did.
yep.
Wait, this takes place in Shakespeare times?
No, Shakespeare wrote the play.
Shakespeare
What have
wrote
us for
rope?
dinner?
Yeah, he wrote it.
No, come on.
No.
Let's leave this in.
So our running theory is that William Shakespeare wrote a play that inspired Alfred Hitchcock to make this movie.
Yeah.
And that play was...
Ye old rope.
Yep.
Rope-a-doo about nothing.
Oh, Rope-a-doo.
Roper's dream.
Rope-a-doo
Romeo
about nothing.
and Juliet. That's the
Ooh.
one. Romeo and
King rope.
Julie knot.
Ooh.
Any knots in this
Ooh.
rope?
I think you could have just said. I think you had it with the first name change.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do a different.
I
pun
mean,
on
Ropio is
Juliet.
pretty good.
Ropio is good. I
Ropeo,
would have
my
given you points
Ropeo.
for that.
But
Okay.
Julie not.
Yeah.
No.
Julie not.
No good.
Not good.
Not
Julie
good.
knot really brings it home.
I still like a Midsummer Night's Rope. King Rope.
King rope. 12th rope.
12th rope. The rope. The
Neither
Tempest with
servant
rope.
nor rope.
Hit the rope.
The winter
So-
whatever. Winter rope. Whatever that one is. It's more obscure. I'm an English major. No big deal.
Wow, breaky.
Wow.
Well, I am excited to watch this movie.
Okay.
And I think Molly's bet I'm going to be embarrassed that I haven't seen it or that I actually have and I forgot that I haven't.
Wow.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of a reverse one.
Yeah, it
It's
really
not
would. It
often
would
that
be
you've
refreshing.
Seen a movie that you didn't think that you had already seen.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be
it's-
wild.
It will be. I feel like when I think this movie was probably mentioned by a film producer teacher who was talking about a great way to save money is to do long shots.
Sure.
Impress your friends and save some cash.
Am I correct of this fun fact that I don't know if is a fact, that the reason that they have those specific moments where they like cover the whole screen is because they literally had to change the reels?
Oh,
I
yeah.
believe that is a
Like
fun
the
fact.
physical
that is
limitation of it is why
Yeah.
they had to have some
Yeah.
cuts.
True. I think
Yep.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's my understanding as well. Because then they were able to actually do one shot. I think with like, I don't know if this is the first one or just the first one I was aware of, that Bruce Willis and Most Def movie.
I'm
It's
sorry,
like
what?
9.5 blocks or something like that.
Oh,
Okay.
16 and a half blocks, I
16
thought.
and a half blocks? Some number of
Oh, you know what?
blocks.
Never mind.
You are
a lot of
both
blocks.
surprisingly confident about whatever random number you chose for the number
Okay.
of blocks.
But I have a story about that one.
You don't even know how many blocks there are.
It's true, I don't. But I got to hear the editor of that movie speak.
Okay.
If memory serves. If not, please don't sue me. But basically said that he felt like he did some of his best editing on that film because Bruce Willis had a habit of narrating everything he did.
Oh yeah, you've told us
So
this
he'd be like,
multiple times.
"I have?"
on the show.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Speaking of
Thinking
good
Die Hard
editing,
episode.
Oh, got it. Well, anyway, it comes full circle.
Yeah.
They were
Very-
referencing 16 and a half blocks. Or
If it's
however
one
many.
shot, now I'm going to sound like a real dumb. What's to edit if it's one shot beyond the top and the bottom? Like you can't take anything out the middle, or else it's not one shot anymore.
I mean, cut to a tree.
But then that's two
cut
shots.
to a tree. Shots don't count if it's just a tree.
If there's a
That's
tree
what-
in the middle of the shot, it's not even a shot.
Yeah.
That's what the Academy says.
That's what happened to the Last Picture Show. They were doing a wonderful single shot of a really emotional moment.
And then a tree fell down.
And no, was it Richard Dreyfuss? I don't remember. Some now famous actor was playing the younger kid in the Last Picture Show. Y'all saw it. It's on the AFI list.
Oh.
We did. We've all seen it.
Um,
Dan, you've seen it.
anyway, very famous
have?
actor.
Yeah, it's like 99 or something. On your slow snack quest to get through it.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking
That one has the dude.
The
in
dude.
it.
Now I remember.
Yeah.
I was thinking.
He's the main dude.
I
Oh,
think
couldn't
I
think of
was
his real name.
thinking
That's embarrassing.
of a different
Jeff Bridges,
movie.
right?
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges. Thank you.
Keep
Yes.
on
Jeff
keeping on,
Bridges.
buddy.
Yeah.
At any rate,
Get
Oh,
healthy.
yeah.
He
Our
forgets-
love goes out to Jeff Bridges. Be well.
yeah. They had the most beautiful scene, and the cloud cover was exactly right. It was outdoors, but the younger actor forgot his line. Just could not remember it.
No.
And so he had to say line, and they gave him a line, and they picked it up. But in the middle of this, you wouldn't notice it except to hear about it later. But in the middle of this gorgeous emotional scene with perfect lighting, when normally you wouldn't cut away, all of a sudden it cuts to a tree. And then it cuts back.
Cover it up.
Yeah, they just have
Amazing.
to cut to something. And I guess
Yeah.
it's like the cat, get that cat shot.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that this is like a secret of film. Like if I ever notice a cut to a tree
Oh,
in
yeah.
a film, that means that somebody forgot their line.
Further line.
Or a cat.
That's code.
Or that they just don't have
What's the
coverage.
cat?
Yeah, what's the cat
Oh,
mean? Cat probably means
I
they have to
thought
go to
it
the
was like-
bathroom and they pointed their dick like that kid in Back to the Future 3.
What?
I forgot about that.
Yeah, like that's they should have cut to a cat, but they couldn't because the cat was scared of that big train, so they had no cats around. So they had to leave it in.
I've never seen Dan Jaquette laugh that hard.
Sorry.
True cinephiles will know that in Back to the Future 3, when Doc Brown, spoilers, comes back to the future on his time train, he's got children now. And one of those children, I think has to go to the bathroom or something because there's like this very like prominent gesture that you can't unsee once you see it, where he's sort of like gesturing towards his genitals. And it's great. I never noticed it until the internet pointed it out to me. Wow,
They got me.
we've destroyed Dan. We broke him. Just talking about an image
very
has broken him.
I'm very tired right now.
Wow,
Wow. Yeah, just remembering that little kid grabbing his.
Is that what it was? Was it not gesturing? He was just straight up like grabbing it?
Well, I'm gonna have to go watch. The,
Yeah, we'll have to check it out. We'll have to watch it.
It's fully weep crying.
It's on YouTube, so check it out. Tweet at us. Gesture or grab.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's got to pee, and he mouths the words to like the director or whatever. It's like,
Or like his adult advocate off screen or something.
oh wow.
Anyway, wasn't expecting it. I thought that was just like a fun throwaway line. I didn't think that was gonna.
Yeah. Molly, how should we rate this movie?
Wow,
Oh wow, that really destroyed me.
sure did.
I think we have to rate this in terms of ropios.
What's a ropio?
It's Romeo made of rope.
Whoa. Like
Oh, like kind of like a forky,
what?
but rope.
Oh, yeah. I like that better.
Forky?
Yeah.
What?
Forky.
Sport.
What?
From the
From
Toy
Toy Story 4.
Oh, isn't that?
Forky.
But isn't
Toy
that
Story
multiple items?
I'm just kind of
Multiple
imagining
materials?
he's got like pipe cleaner arms and legs, right?
Okay.
At least arms. So it's like it's kind of a ropey.
Rope feel.
Situation.
Yeah.
So what's the rest of Romeo made out of?
No, ropio is all made of rope.
Yeah.
His arms are also rope.
Yeah. Little
Yeah,
arms of
just
rope. Like you peel away
extrapolate
the.
from Sporky's arms into the rest of the body, but it's rope.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
makes sense
Here's
to
where here's where I'm in the
And
weeds on this.
he's wearing
though.
a very cute Shakespearean cap.
Nice. Okay, so is Ropio like is his main torso just like one strand of rope, or is it like coiled rope tightly bound into the shape of a man?
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, it's like if you took one piece of rope and then strategically peeled some of the pieces off of it to form arms and legs and a head.
So it's a frayed rope.
Oh.
Oh,
I have
yeah, it's a frayed rope.
I have a
frayed
really good
ropio.
joke that reminded
Do
me
you?
of.
I'm afraid not.
Ah!
That's-
You really should have saved that till after he told it, Molly.
Oh,
Punchline.
cut this out. Cut that out, Beth.
Yeah, Beth, cut that out and then
What-
cut
what-
it back in after Dan says his dumb joke.
What's
No,
your funny
I mean-
joke, Dan?
All right. I mean, Molly already said the punchline, but there's a rope. There's a rope who's in the mood for a drink. So he goes to a bar and says, "Hey, I'd like a beer." And the bartender says,
What does the
sorry, we
rope
don't
sound
serve."
like, though? Is that what the rope sounds like?
Oh, hey, I'd like a beer. And the bartender says, "Sorry, we don't serve ropes here." And the rope, dejected, leaves, goes to the second bar, walks in. "Oh, hey, excuse me, I'd like a beer." And the bartender goes, "Oh, sure. Hey, wait a minute, are you a rope?" And the rope is an honest rope, so it says, "I am. I can't tell a lie, not yet, anyway." And the bartender says, "Well, get out of here. We don't serve ropes here." And then, so I really want this beer. The rope kind of, messes
Rope's
up his
got
hair.
He's got a problem.
Yeah, he really needs it. Messes up his hair, kind of, jumbles up his feet a bunch. Tries to disguise himself.
So he
walks
has
into the
feet
van.
and hair? This rope has feet and hair?
Yes, it's an
All right.
anthropomorphic rope.
This regular
It's ropio.
child's joke is
It's
turning
ropio.
into a tight 5.
Goes into the third bar because
Yep.
the rule of threes, and says, "Excuse me, I'd like a beer." And the bartender says, "Sure. Wait a minute. Are you a rope?" The rope says, "Afraid not." Because his top is frayed and his bottom's in a knot. It's better when you can gesture more fully, and Molly hasn't already said the punchline before the joke started.
Well, that was great. That was like,
I will say I've never heard that joke
Me neither.
told in such a long format.
oh, I've never heard it at all. So,
Oh,
And
Ropio,
so
Ropio.
That's our rating scale.
right, of course. So
And
Ropio is
as-
afraid not
Yeah.
with a cute little cap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
He's got a cap. Oh, all right.
Yeah. Shakespeare cap, as Molly described it.
Yes. Exactly.
Dan, you go first, as we all know.
Wow. Okay. I feel like, I've seen some Hitchcocks. I enjoy the Hitch. My wife really likes Hitchcock, and that's probably why I've seen more. I've seen most of them because of her. No big deal. I have a wife. I forgot to do that bit. She said that she has seen this one, and I can't remember. She wasn't confident if she actually enjoyed it or was more just like, oh yeah, this is an interesting thing to do because of the whole single shot thing. But I feel like if it's got Jimmy Stewart, which we're assuming it does, I'm gonna feel big man, Blair Witch, Beth's boyfriend, Theobald Baggins, Bartholomew J. Simpson. 4.5 Ropios. Give myself room to grow or extend like a rope. Yep.
Or uncoil. God, ropes can
Yeah.
really do it all.
Right?
Can unfurl.
Incredible. Hey,
They are.
teens, learn how to make and manipulate ropes, and you'll go
Yeah,
far.
knots, knots are useful. I've been thinking about teaching my child how to do knots.
Man, I've been thinking
But
about
I
teaching
haven't.
myself how to do knots. I couldn't
have a
teach
book.
anybody.
Cub Scout, no big deal. I know
Okay.
at least 3 knots.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Braggy.
But I mostly only remember the bow line or bowline. I don't remember how to say it, but it's a real good knot.
Great.
And Beth, it's
You
your
heard it
turn
here
now.
first, listeners.
Okay, so I have seen this movie. I don't remember being blown away by it, and I also remember being like, I don't think that's the best Hitchcock movie.
Oh,
Chicago
take that,
person.
Chicago
Oh,
friend.
right. I forgot you watched this to try to impress somebody or something.
It wasn't even to impress anybody. It was just I want to be cool too.
I see.
Because she went back to Chicago. I never saw her again.
Oh, right. And then when you saw the movie, you're just like, I don't need to see her again because she's not that cool.
Yeah, exactly. I can do improv. I'll sign up for a class 5 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'll
Yeah.
watch 100 movies.
Yeah.
Eat that, random Chicago person.
Yeah.
Uh,
Go eat a
I
hot
feel
dog.
like it was.
And that person's
What?
name was Amy Poehler.
I said, go eat a hot dog because
Yep.
they love hot dogs in Chicago. They're always like, ooh, give me the
Oh,
hot
they're
dog. Put a bunch of
delicious.
ketchup
Ooh,
on
hot
it.
dog.
Love it.
Give me that hot dog.
Oh, I
that-
want a whole pickle
Yeah.
spear.
Ooh, give me that real. I do like Chicago
a
dogs. Shout out to
spicy
Chicago dogs.
sausage.
They're more
They are so
interesting
good.
than a regular old hot dog.
You know, they are so good. We should do that.
Chicago
We
dogs?
should have a hot dog night. Hot dog night for a Totes record. We
But
just
also-
have Chicago dogs.
Instead of pizza?
Ooh,
Blasphemy.
what?
Instead of
Oh.
pizza?
Well, and pizza. How about that?
Hot dogs on pizza?
On
no.
our pizza.
Now we're talking.
Oh,
But also
Chicago
cool
dogs on
it,
pizza?
Chicago.
Oh.
This is my message to Chicago. Cool it with being a real dick about putting ketchup on your hot dog. They're real dicks about it.
Yeah.
You put ketchup on your hot dog, Chicago is like, the Bears, I'll kill you. Chicago.
Yeah.
And let's all just eat our dogs how we want to eat our
Let's
dogs.
all, just as a quick shout out to like every single person in this country desperately trying to create their own individual identity based on regionalism. Who cares? Let people
Yeah.
eat whatever they want.
Yeah.
Except for that weird spaghetti that you eat, Dan. That's just
What? With chili? Like a three-way?
spaghetti with chili.
yeah. That's what
it's
it was.
actually
I couldn't
very
remember
good.
what it was.
How dare you?
Hey,
I'm sure it's fine. I'm just kidding. It was trying to be funny. Oh God.
3.5.
Nice.
There it
Thank
is.
you. Beth.
Scorpios.
yes. Thank you, Beth.
Do you want to say your favorite knot at all?
Donut.
Great.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Thank you.
Probably mine too.
Dan, I didn't invite you in on that bet. Do you want to go back and say your favorite
I guess I'll
knot?
just say garlic knot because I can't think of anything else. But also, I probably would say donut. And like when I say donut, I mean like actually one of those like twisted up donuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Okay.
stuff.
What is that? A cruller?
I don't know, curly.
Oh, maybe.
Curly? A curly?
Curly's
Is
gold.
that a curly?
Curly's yeasty gold.
Curly's gold. Yep.
My name is Dan. It's my turn next. I've already said bowline's my favorite knot, but the sheep shank has a real fun name. I don't know how to
Sheepshank.
tie it.
Fun to say.
Sheepshank.
I also like a Hitchcock, and I've seen quite a few because a lot of them are on the AFI list. But not this one. And I like a Jimmy Stewart, and I like a small story, like a intimate story. Which, if this is one shot, maybe it's that. So I'm going to be equally Beale Bold, Big Man, Beth's boyfriend, Blair Witch. Baggins, bold, and say 4.5.
Great.
I am going to go with a cowardly 3, mostly because I cannot remember all the Beelbold Baggins incantation, so it seems safer to just go with 3. Also, I have no memory of this movie, so that helps. I will say in terms of knots, most recently, I was shocked to find myself on the Sperry shoe page,
The what?
looking up the kinds of knots you can do for loafers.
Okay.
Because I had bought loafers for my child, and they kept coming undone.
Oh, I thought you were going to say they kept coming. Like you just kept getting shoes
Oh, right.
showing up at your
Now I
house.
Need to
It's
tie
just like
them
the
in
New
different
Yorker.
ways because I have too many shoes.
Too many
Too
shoes.
many shoes.
Actually, Dan Jaquette knows that I do have too many shoes because one time a bunch of people came over to help me pack
Oh,
when I was changing apartments, and he got put on shoes, and he filled out this big box and then labeled it "too many shoes," which was
A little
100%
judgy,
accurate.
but a little judgy.
It was a little judgy, but it was accurate. Anyway, her regular, like just tying it in a bow, was just coming out every day. And so I found myself on the boat shoe catalog page looking up a variety of things. And I figured out you can do a square knot and then form tassels at either end.
Fun.
And it will stay knotted longer
how do you form a
than
tassel?
if you try a bow.
You like fray it?
No,
Afraid
you, I'm afraid not. You fold it and then twist it and then put the end into another piece, and I will link you there.
Okay. If that sounds like it's working for you, but I also went down a rabbit hole of knots after I bought new winter boots. So you might check out the surgeon's knot as another easy knot to keep
Ooh.
your
Wow.
shoes laced, which is really easy. It's just a standard overhand knot, but then you do one more around.
Quick shout out to our executive producer, Ben Nemi, for specifically having us do this movie, knowing that it would bring about all this great knot talk, which I
Knot
think the
talk.
show has really been lacking in over the years.
It's really top knot
Yeah.
talk.
Also, the hardest I've ever laughed on the podcast.
which was not
I guess-
expected.
I apologize, or you're welcome, depending on how you feel about uncontrolled laughter from someone else.
Yeah, like depending on how you feel about like us experiencing joy without you, the listener.
Yeah.
You're sorry, or we apologize, or you're welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, I would like to think that people come with us.
I would hope so.
I mean, I was
I would
laughing because
like
Dan
to
was
think
laughing
that
so
as well.
hard.
Yeah, it's true.
Also, his glasses kept steaming up, and that was really
Yeah.
fucking
it was
neat.
impressive. Like it was an
It was
impressive amount of
quite
just
a moment.
vapor coming out of your face.
Anyway, maybe Beth will cut that and then ask for my approval and then put it up on YouTube.
Oh, it's definitely going on
Depending
YouTube.
on how snotty and steamy I appear.
Nice.
And with that, we're going to press pause, go watch Rope, and we'll be right back.
Hey, it's me, Pierce Brosnan.
God.
Coming at you with a mid-roll ad. Also, check out Kirkland's signature. But after you do that, go on over to totesrecall.com/Patreon or
The second one,
patreon.com/totesrecall.com
Pierce. It's the second
Yeah, I
one.
don't think that first one actually goes anywhere.
and become a Patreon of this fine podcast. And I am going to also become a Patreon on, and I will executive produce the Thomas Crown Affair or GoldenEye or all the other movies that I, Pierce Brosnan, am in.
Great.
Thank you and good night, England.
Bye.
And we're back. We just watched 81 minutes of a sociopath throwing a dinner party.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's fair.
Accurate.
That's
Yeah.
fair. Very,
That guy is nuts.
But not at all implausible, which made it more disturbing.
I know,
Yeah.
it's creepy.
Before
Like,
we,
God, this man is sick. Okay, I'm sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
But let's expand on
Okay, you're right.
Molly's nugget of synopsis.
Ooh, I see what you're doing. So
With-
Nug says,
Synopsis with top 100 list making segment. 60-second summary. A segment in which we summarize the movie in 60 seconds. I am Dan. I volunteer to do it, as is my newish trend.
new-ish. You've been,
Great.
I think you do it literally.
you've been
every single
volunteering for like
Yep.
1,000 years.
Okay.
Do you want to do it?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
And go.
We open on a street and there's credits, but then soon after that, there's a murder. Two dudes murder a third dude and shove him in a drawer, and then they're like, a drawer, a cabinet, a bookcase, whatever.
None of
Chest.
those.
Chest.
That's
They
what
shove him in a chest. And they're like, haha, aren't we so clever? Now let's have a dinner party. Creep 1 and Creep 2 are their names. Creep 1 is more confident. Creep 2 is less confident. People arrive at the
30
dinner
seconds.
party, including the dead man's dad and girlfriend. Everybody drinks a bunch and smokes a bunch, and then eventually Jimmy Stewart arrives, and he's the most clever of the party guests and figures it out, and then shoots the gun that they almost kill
10
him with in
seconds.
the air, and presumably the police come. And there's an amazing aunt that's at the
Yes.
party.
And Mrs. Wilson.
And Ms. Wilson is also amazing.
Just great
And
ladies.
there's a-
It's done. Anyway, it's done. It's done. It's done.
Oh, okay.
Time. Honestly, maybe your most successful one yet.
I mean, an
Oh, that's pretty
80-minute
good.
movie in a single apartment.
Room. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
not a lot of details to
Not a
throw
lot of room for you to stumble over.
in. Yeah.
I mean, you could have focused more on like what they were eating.
Sure. I was
Chicken.
trying to do it. I was trying to get it done in 60 seconds.
You nailed it, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We should also just see how we all did in our first half 60-second hypothesis. Sees.
60 second
Segment
time
currently
for
unnamed.
times for hypothetical.
Accepting
summary.
sponsorship for segment name. Pepsi Cola's 60-second pre-call.
Oh, I
as an
see
example.
what you're saying. Yeah. Frito-Lay.
Yeah.
I don't know, something that actually does good in the world.
So we could get halftime
Call
in
us.
there somewhere. That seems like a thing. Hey, should we go ahead and get the embarrassing fact out of the way that we were off by so many years
Oh, yes.
and off even that it was not a black and white movie?
No. Okay, here's the thing. Okay. When I stopped the movie and it went back to the menu, the image was in black and white.
Mine
And I
was
feel
too.
like
I
I
was on
saw
a
it in black and white.
fruit-based streaming service.
Did
Right.
you?
You were as well.
Was your film in black and white when you watched it?
No.
Neither was mine. That was
But like the
weird.
splash screen of the...
My splash screen was just a faded color picture.
Yeah.
Like
Interesting.
near sepia, nice sepia, but still colored.
Well, it was definitely filmed in Technicolor. It was not colored. It was not added later.
Right.
Yeah.
But it came out
So-
in 1948.
Whoa.
was-
You know what? And in my heart, I thought it was going to be in the 40s, but y'all went so late. I was like, I don't want to feel dumb.
Okay, honest question.
Yeah,
But-
I think I primed
yeah.
the pump.
Now
with
that we've
64.
embarrassed ourselves so thoroughly, I have to ask: when did Jimmy Stewart die?
Live.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, I had pictured him as a young man in this movie, and he's not. He's
No.
like an older guy.
Yeah.
He's like the old. He's like the
I mean,
teacher.
he might be
They put a
grayed
little
up
gray
a
in
little
that
bit.
hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
He-
he's not like. I was picturing him as a college student, like a
Right.
like a young man. He is not.
Yeah. Well, when did It's a Wonderful Life happen?
Oh my god.
I mean, it's black and white, so before this?
Well, he
Same
was
with,
a.
It was in
he
the
was a
1930s,
yeah,
right?
and he was a
Because it was after the Great Depression,
Right.
or after the Great Depression started.
and he was a fighterman in the World War II. So
Yeah.
Yeah, a fun fact that I learned from my wife,
not
from
no
an
big deal.
unnamed source,
Wow,
is
break-
that he filmed this movie right after coming back
Whoa.
from the war.
Oh.
Whoa.
Fascinating.
Wait. Okay. So It's a Wonderful Life is 1946. So did he go to the war after that?
Well, it might have been released in '46.
Oh, I see what
don't
you're
know.
saying. That makes more sense.
I only know what I was told.
Yeah, blame
But
Dan's
I
wife.
believe women.
Oh, right.
So-
Never mind. Your hashtag is better.
Well,
Okay,
Yeah.
and then Jimmy Stewart was alive from 1908 to 1997.
Okay, she's
97?
40.
Yeah.
Oh, we could have hung out with Jimmy Stewart.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
I bet he was cool.
I hope so.
I bet he was cool, but like not approachable.
Oh, definitely
you know?
not approachable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the beginning of his presence in this movie, he seems like he's going to be as much of a sociopath as Brandon, the primary sociopath.
Yeah.
And it's very uncomfortable to watch Jimmy Stewart play someone without a conscience.
Yeah.
And then as the movie unfolds, he, who's playing the character of Rupert, is also sort of a detective in this scenario, figures out what's going on, and reveals a true moral fiber and delivers kind of the concluding speech that makes you feel less gross for having watched the previous 78 minutes.
I mean, he's a
and that
detective.
felt more comfortable.
He's a detective in the sense that, like, if a detective were like, "Oh, I'm pretty sure the one who did the crime is the one I taught how to do crimes."
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like an armchair murderer in college who just like to talk about how cool it would be to kill people because
Yeah,
they're so
he's
smart
like
and
the
cool.
original edgelord college
Yeah.
professor.
This had a real like internet dude vibe,
Yes.
like Red Pill, 4chan, the internet.
Yeah.
Did you want to check our original summaries? That's what we
Oh,
started
right.
talking about, but then
I
we
did.
decided to
Right.
I
actually
did.
talk about the movie.
Oops.
Yes, I will try to, as briefly as possible, summarize our summaries.
Wow.
I proposed a Western
No.
setting in which Jimmy Stewart ropes a lady, but then the lady turns out to be him.
I mean, you
I'll-
could say
I'll-
he metaphorically ropes the criminals.
Murderers.
I'm going to give myself partial credit
Mm-hmm.
because the twist is sort of that he planted the seed of evil, which is a bit like finding out that you roped yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think-
Sure.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah.
Nailed
Good
it.
metaphor.
Good
Great
job.
metaphor.
100%.
100% Utah.
Molly, you proposed sort of a big city setting with a hapless employee working towards a deadline, and someone would say, "You've got to believe me."
I would like to offer partial credit
Okay.
to Molly because I feel like Philip, the less cool about having murdered someone murderer,
Yeah.
was essentially basically asked to do a job on deadline because his job was to like not lose his shit during the dinner party so that they could
Yeah.
dispose of the body later.
And
And
there's a
there's-
part where he lights a candle on the bottom, which case he is burning the candle at both ends,
Hey.
like in a workplace.
Yeah. And the theme
No.
of being believed is very present throughout.
It is. They came very close, but they didn't quite come to the belief thing. They said something else that was similar-ish. I will take credit for city. It does take place in a city.
Definitely.
In fact, that's a pretty prominent portion of the backdrop.
Still
confirm.
static painting of a
well-
city.
Excuse
With a little bit of
sir.
Wait, whoa! Oh, excuse. I don't mean to get all Wikipedia yet, but you are incorrect
Did you not
on every
notice?
front in that
Did
description.
you not notice the changing of the lights quality as the sun went down?
All right.
The smoke coming up, the neon lights that flickered here and there.
All right.
This wasn't just some workaday scrim, Daniel.
This
Okay.
was models of the Empire State Building. There were key. These are all
Molly,
material.
I
getting
didn't
a little
realize
too
I was
deep
attacking
into
your favorite
facts.
movie, Molly. But I think about Molly's summary, I think we can probably say 100% Utah.
Yeah,
on this
100%.
one.
100% Utah. Oh, absolutely. 100% Utah. Yeah.
Dan, a fancy house, rich man in a tuxedo, and a well-dressed woman, and then there's a rope murder. But who did the rope murder?
100%.
Pretty
Rope
close.
murder.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
these
there was
clothes
a-
are fancy.
There was
Yeah.
a
Everybody
fancy
They
clothes
are-
lady.
Definitely like rich people.
Yep.
There's
Yep.
some there's not a tux, but some very good suits.
Great
Yeah.
suits.
The dress was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like
100%
Yeah,
Utah.
100%.
100% Utah.
100%
100%
Utah.
Utah.
All right.
All right, Beth had the one who had seen the movie.
Here we go.
Again,
They were at an apartment. There was a dinner party.
Yes.
There was a
Yes.
rope murder.
Yes.
yeah.
They hide the
Yes.
rope. It's one shot ish
forgot.
in one location, and then someone solves the murder.
Right.
All that is true.
100% Utah.
100% Utah. I forgot that they hid the rope, but also they hid an entire body.
Yeah, the rope wasn't the thing; it was the body.
No,
Not the
rope-
most incriminating thing hidden in that apartment. The
no,
rope.
but the rope is more sinister than I remember. Like
Also
just
more
like,
like-
having it out and about all
Yeah.
the time and giving
Ooh.
the dad the books wrapped with the
Oof.
murder weapon. That is
Yeah,
That is
Ugh.
some
diabolical.
yeah,
diabolical.
it really is.
Yeah.
But yeah, 100% Utah. So I think that's 400% Utah.
Yeah,
Incredible.
400% Utah.
400%.
Wow.
Yep.
We really did it. Good
Well,
job.
I guess
us.
we can turn it in. We've pretty much talked about the whole.
We're basically
Whole movie.
the best at our own podcast we've ever been.
That's true. This is a top 100 episode.
Oh my gosh.
But other
There
things
is
happened.
actually so much I want to talk about in this movie, though.
Go for it.
Great.
Connect 4.
Well, Connect Four. Well, there were. So I just want the listener to understand that we are not exaggerating when we call Brandon a sociopath.
No.
No.
In this movie. Like, he's straight up manipulating, not only manipulating Philip, his potential life partner, we're not sure, into committing a murder. He's also doing these weird manipulations of the dead person's, David, the dead person's fiance and her ex-boyfriend, his former best friend. He even like takes the time to manipulate his housekeeper.
Yeah.
Like there's almost no one he doesn't manipulate except for Rupert,
No, he
who
manipulates Rupert,
is
too.
played by Jimmy Stewart. But not at the beginning. It seems like he really, I don't know. And my sense was that he just he was kind of the only person they
Yeah,
respected,
but
and
he
he just
says
wanted
later
like
that
validation.
but later on, he says to Philip that he did exactly what he hoped he would do by inviting him to the party.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, right,
The
right,
only
right.
part he wasn't
So,
prepared for was for Rupert to, I guess, have a moral center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Fair.
Yeah,
And-
they just kill him to see if they can get away with it.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Just
They
It's like
are,
a philosophical exercise for Brandon, at least. And I guess Philip, until he actually does it, and it's like, oh no, this is actually a bad thing.
Yeah. And like
Yeah.
just to give everyone a sense of how messed up it is, they kill this guy, then they set the dinner table over where his body is. So everyone who's invited to this dinner party will eat their food over his dead body. And the
Yeah.
people invited to the party are his like she says like pretty much or close to fiance, right? His former best friend, his father, his aunt. Originally his mother was supposed to be invited, but she's sick. And then their former professor, who is like probably the thing that adds the most excitement for him because he might figure out what's going on. And it's messed up.
Yeah.
It is gross.
Yeah, that was my first of two notes was the one hole of setting the dinner over where the dead body is. All I could think about was like, oh, when you die, your bowels release.
Yeah, I
I
had
was
the
like, they just be smelling
No,
Oh.
thank you. I had the same
Dead
thought. I was
dude
just like, isn't that
doo-doo
chest going to be
the whole time.
a
Yeah.
real stinker?
Yeah.
But I guess that's like
Didn't
something that
think
you
of that,
have
Brandon.
to. I guess that's sort of like the thing that
Suspension
is
of disbelief.
lampshaded more often than anything else in film, right? Where it's like,
Dead
'cause,
people
you
don't
know,
poop their pants.
yeah.
Does it
Yeah.
always happen? I don't know this about dead people.
I don't know if it always happens, but like it definitely. I mean, all of your, as I understand it, and to be fair, I did not take an anatomy course in college like my roommate who worked on severed practice butts, as I think I've talked about on the show before.
Oh, I don't remember that, but that's a turn of
Really?
events.
I thought it came up at some point. Maybe it's not a
Severed practice butts?
bonus content. Check it out, patreon.com/shots3call. My understanding, though, is that our waste system is very much dependent on a part of our brains just being like, hold fast, lads. And once those signals stop, your
Yeah.
entire colon just sort of like relaxes. And then anything that's in there is just going to kind of seep its way out.
Yeah. But maybe
Wow.
Brandon knew it and manipulated him to like go
Fast.
drop a deuce before he murdered him.
Oh, no.
Maybe. I could see that.
He's diabolical.
It's like, ooh,
He really is.
David, I've thought of this delicious new philosophical exercise of not eating anything for several days.
Ugh, it's too
oh,
accurate.
all these dudes suck at this movie. I hated every single.
Yeah,
single
yeah, they
man.
do. And they're all real. They're all
Oh,
real,
his
man.
dad was awesome.
Oh,
dad's
Yeah,
dad,
the
good.
dad, is pretty
ruled.
good.
He had
Dad
good,
rules, yep.
just like old,
And
literate man energy, I guess.
Literate man.
Yeah, it was so interesting because there's part where there's all this like dancing around where Brandon is really reveling and getting his former headmaster or just like dorm. Was it like an RA in their dorm?
No,
or?
he was like I think he was like the
the head boy.
no,
Or
no,
like-
he was. I mean, he was a
Is
teacher.
he like
of theirs.
McGonagall? For
Yes,
the
thank you.
Oh,
That's
Gryffindors?
exactly what I was trying to figure out. I was trying to figure out what
Got
her
it.
title
Okay.
was.
Okay, got it. Anyway, so Rupert is inadvertently helping him out by playing out this like murder scheme of how superior that murder is a privilege for the few. I guess it's a Nietzsche idea.
Is it?
Anyway,
I mean, it's at least like maybe.
that's what's referenced, right? I think in the thing. Anyway, it's having
Yeah.
this like philosophical discussion.
Yeah.
They must be joking.
LOL.
And it's David's father who has, I don't know, the courage to not laugh along.
Yeah.
Like it honestly, I guess in the context of where we are in society right now, it just felt like a really courageous moment for him to say, hey, this is very dark humor that's not funny. And this is more akin to Hitler. And even though his objections just gave more fodder for Brandon, who was so far up his own intellectual butt.
Yeah.
Except
It
for
was
intellectual.
probably not the only thing that was up at that point. Am I right?
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah,
Ew. You mean like his penis?
I do. I do mean that.
He was stuttering, so
Yeah,
you
he
know,
always
we
stutters
understand
when
he
he's
gets
excited. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lord bless us.
Yeah, I think the dad had the cojones to tell those teens to cool it.
Yeah,
He
he
absolutely
really
told
did.
those teens to cool it.
That was a major cool it teens moment.
Yeah, and also, teens, cool it. People are people. Don't be some weird edgelord who looks
they're
up car
essentially
crashes
just, like-
or whatever.
Shit posting out loud.
I was just going to crap on Harvard for a second.
Please.
Oh, sure.
Not that I really have any business doing that.
Yeah, you do.
I would say the elite school pure intellectual fantasy superiority thing did feel a little real, and somebody pointed
Absolutely
out
real.
that Brandon had a Josh Hawley vibe,
My wife.
and I just
NBD.
yes,
No big deal.
Braggy.
yeah, that was some real insight. And I didn't think I could be more creeped out, but it's succeeded in creeping me out a level further.
Yeah, all of the every single one of the young dudes in this movie are future U.S. senators, no question.
Yep.
Like, no question.
Yeah. And I just wanted to quickly point out that none of them drink milk, and they only drink adult drinks.
Fair
It's
point.
true.
And they are
That's true.
creepier than any other thing that we've seen in the film.
In film
Probably
or
they had
this
to
film?
cut the.
In this film.
Yeah.
And also, they're creepy.
Okay. What about the guy who serves butter sandwiches and dresses
a
up like his
giant
mom to
pitcher
murder
of
people
milk?
in the shower?
No, I'm with Molly. They probably just cut it out. Like, I bet in the...
Yeah,
I bet,
they just ran out of time.
I bet
Yeah,
when
what do you
the-
think they're going to the cabin for? That's where Mother lives.
Oh, and the milk. The mother and the milk
Probably
is
every
there.
time the camera goes into someone's back, it's because they're just
Yep.
chugging a glass of milk.
Yep. Yeah, and
They
then
have to cut-
I bet Alfred
cut
Hitchcock got into an argument with the writer about showing them drinking milk.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And
he's just
too
like,
on the
it's not-
nose. This is a subtle movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's too. We already have him monologuing about the art of murder. Like, it's too on the nose to have him be slamming back a glass of milk.
Yeah. But he couldn't get it cut out, so he just jammed the camera into their buns whenever he
Yep.
wanted to cut.
I mean, there's a whole sequence where there's only like two people talking in the living room, and they're all close to the dining room kitchen. So that whole time, Mrs. Wilson could just be like passing out milk glasses. We don't
They
know.
did all have sundaes for dessert, which
that's
is
different.
frozen milk.
Not necessarily.
Ice cream?
Ice
Yeah.
cream is just frozen milk.
No, that is cream. There is
Cream is-
iced milk, which is different.
Yeah, but cream and milk
Cream's not frozen.
are the same thing.
Oh my God, Beth.
Or they come from the same thing.
A lot of things come from that thing.
Milk, butter.
Jeez.
Have some frozen butter.
Yeah, but okay,
What?
whatever.
They
Beth
are
is trying to equate slamming back a glass of milk with enjoying a delicious bowl of ice cream.
They were huge ice creams, though.
Yes, they were. They were like pyramids of.
And
It looked like baked Alaska.
Yeah, there was like a little bit of cake on there, right? Some kind of sponge.
Listen, it was too beautiful a dessert for Jimmy Stewart's character to just set it aside after barely a bite.
He had two.
yeah, he used it to charm Mrs. Wilson. I was really watching Jimmy Stewart in this, and his little
Me
face
too.
movements are so charming. Just like
Oh,
his little.
he is. Yeah. It was. Yeah, like
I was swooning.
yeah. It was kind of. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but like there was He had a very nice quality where like when he first shows up, he's just like, oh, is he just like the creep supreme? Like, is he just like the mentor of all of them because he's this like incredible, creepy but charming psychopath? So like I don't know if that was deliberate of just setting him up that way and then him like having his little moment of having morality. But yeah, he was delightful. Like the whole time I was just like, this dude is a Dracula. He is like immortal and charming people with his hypnotic wiles. He is picking a candle up off of the candle holder and lighting a cigarette with it, which was incredibly badass.
Yeah. He's immortal. There's no way he's old in this movie. He looks the same age as everybody else. They just spray painted his hair gray to disguise his
Do we?
Was he? But he was. Oh, Miss Mrs. Wilson, Miss Wilson.
Mrs. What? Miss.
We didn't see her invite him in, but he must have been invited in, right?
Well, they
Does he
invited him
just-
to the party.
He just enters in.
Does that count? A
He's just
free
in
invite?
Great
the
question.
door frame. Like if you
Like
get a
if-
formal invite,
Yeah, does that count?
Yeah. Is an Evite count? If you're Dracula and you get an invite,
Yeah.
can you go?
Like if they
Tweet
just
at
get
us.
an email, they're just like, yes.
if you're Dracula, tweet at us. Let us know if you can
Yeah.
come to a party. If you get an evite.
You
Yeah.
are
Also,
invited
you are
to
not
tweet
invited.
at us,
But
not
only to
our
tweet at
homes.
us. You're only invited
Yeah.
to tweet at us.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And not to our
Related.
DMs. I don't know what kind of vampire magic you can use in our DMs. At us.
What,
Like
do
a,
you, what do you think they're going to hypnotize us through just text? Emojis?
21st century Dracula? Forget about it.
21st. Hold on. Wait. Trademarked. We're writing the screenplay. This sounds amazing.
So, like,
oh.
the script was based on a play,
Yes.
which is pretty obvious
Oh.
when you're watching
Yeah,
this,
especially
right?
the final
It's
shot
like
is
a
like, remember theater?
very one act play. Have some theater. Yeah, absolutely. So the script is at times feels real ham-handed for a film, but I did like the way it set up that Brandon was a sociopath all the time,
Yeah.
but people always assumed he was joking.
Right.
And it kind of reminded me of
All white men.
well, yeah, maybe. But specifically, I had an ex-boyfriend who was very, very charming, and I thought he was joking about a lot of things. But so, for example, he would joke about how scary ducks were, that he was really terrified of ducks because they're like little dinosaurs.
Okay.
And, sort of riffed about how funny little dinosaurs that idea is, right? And then we'd go out and we'd be near a lake and he would like have like a visceral reaction. I'd be like, oh, he's calling back to that joke he made about ducks. No, it was not a joke. He was very charming, but he was also deadly serious. And he used saying audacious things and a sense of humor to be charming about it, to reveal quite a bit about himself. But if you are operating in the, oh, that's so audacious and wrong that it has to be a joke, right? Then you can excuse a whole lot of stuff over a very long period of time. And it sort of seemed like this guy, Brandon, was never a nice guy or a good guy and was always trying out mini manipulations on his friends under the banter of humor. And so anyway, once again, it just reinforced for me what a ding-dang hero David's dad was for calling it out. And I also just want to say I used to make very bad choices.
I mean,
in my 20s.
all we know about this guy is that he didn't like ducks, so it doesn't seem like he was that bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Right.
He was bad, but yeah,
Okay.
that's fair. Totally fair.
Yeah, watching this movie, like it felt very weird to be like, oh, these people still exist in this exact form. Like
Yeah.
nothing has changed.
And then, to Molly's point, still the like, oh, I was joking is like such a
Huge.
tired deflection, but very present
Still,
in our modern age.
Just a joke, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's wild that this came out like right after World War II, because I feel like that's been a discussion in the last couple of years of just sort of like, you remember when like there was that horrible time where the media was like so fascinated by like the Richard Spencers of the world, where it was just like, it was very like coy almost, of just like, tee hee hee, this guy is a fascist, but like, lo, they're so fashionable.
Yeah.
Like, isn't it interesting that these are like completely like they've completely integrated into society as if they hadn't been integrated into society the whole time for the last 200 years, you fucking assholes. Anyway, I have opinions, clearly. But yeah, it is like, I just like this movie sort of made me reconcile that sort of just the last couple of years and our little our society is just sort of like, I don't know, sort of exploration that isn't taking itself seriously enough of those kind of people and those kind of men in particular, but then also thinking about how like, I don't know, like sociopathic private school dudes is like a genre in and of itself. And so like that tells you that like, oh, many people have met people like this in their lives to like know enough to write a convincing story featuring them as characters.
Yeah, what was that book, The Society?
Which one?
Never mind.
Okay. Are you talking about Donna Tartt?
Is that about Skull and Bones?
Sort of. I mean, there's the Skull and Bones, sure.
Sure.
But they might just be a bunch of nerds. That's the thing. That's what makes it so hard, is because like there's plenty of these groups that it really is just like a bunch of nerds who don't know how to socialize. All they know is that they're supposed to continue to be exclusive and elite in their any point in their lives. Mm-hmm. But then there's other people who were just like, I don't know, circumstance made them be brought up to think that they are actually like the superior beings of the world. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes if Jimmy Stewart comes along and is having a fun romp with philosophy, maybe those people become actual monsters. And sometimes that philosophy is just a little something we like to call capitalism. It doesn't take much to plant that seed.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
Think about it. My point is that you are all monsters and rise
I'm
up.
a monster?
No. When I say you, I mean like the people who have their hands on the levers of our society. And
Sure.
You're propping up a suffering machine, and you should all be ashamed of yourselves.
Yeah, we are all
This is about the movie Rope.
David in the chest. Well, speaking of ropes, there's only one knot in this movie,
Ooh.
I think.
Are you disappointed about that?
A little bit. I couldn't quite tell when they were strangling him. It looked like maybe there was a knot. That rope was knotted.
I thought they were just wrapped it around it.
Pulled tight.
Wasn't it just wrapped around his neck?
How would they have
Yeah.
knotted it? Maybe they.
Pre-knotted.
I mean,
and
given
then
what we learn about
flipped it
Brandon
over.
through the rest of the runtime of the movie, I wouldn't be surprised if he was like, no, we're definitely tying this knot.
This is the
Yeah.
perfect knot for murder.
Right.
He's so. Bleh.
Like he
So maybe that
figured
one,
it out.
and then-
He figured out what
and
the
then-
perfect murder knot was.
Murder knot. And then I think, again, I never said I was good at knots, only that I find them interesting and I would think about getting into them. But I believe it's just a square knot,
On what?
which is a very serviceable knot. When the books are
the
tied
books.
up. Yeah.
We said, but somebody said it was clumsy.
Well, wasn't that just a deflection? Because he was like staring at the murder rope?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And then
Ugh.
Jimmy Stewart was just being
I
catty
was like,
later.
I know exactly what you're thinking about. I'm the Dracula.
There was a clumsy knot because I could easily just take it from him and by draining him of his blood and leaving him on the street.
Yeah. How did he get that rope?
I don't know.
Interesting.
Fell off.
Yeah.
What a weird compulsion.
Who?
What a weird, disgusting
Do you
compulsion.
want to kill someone?
Well, to want to kill someone, but also to want to do it in such a way that you are just constantly tempting getting caught.
Isn't that?
Yeah.
Especially
Isn't that what-
because, like, they have the worst poker faces in the entire world.
Philip does. Yeah.
But even, I think Brandon does too.
Oh, sure. When he's like stuttering to Jimmy?
Yeah, and he, like, keeps looking at, I mean, they both keep looking over at the chest, and they keep on, like, I don't know, like, can't keep their eyes off the rope, and he's like, let's talk about strangling some more. Like, just the worst ideas. But also he's like, yeah, excited about it.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that? I don't know. Isn't that true of a lot of compulsive crimers? Is that like part of it? Is the thrill of maybe getting caught?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I think for shoplifting, for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't know. Every time I read about like one of the many California serial killers, I feel like
Okay.
I'm just saying there was a time for in the early to mid 20th century where California people were just like, oh, I'm just gonna wander around this general area of the state and kill people.
Well,
And
popular
sometimes they
destination.
like to be a little dramatic about it.
Sure.
And then other times they successfully hid for decades until that
their
one lady wrote a
Brother
book
got
about it.
DNA tested or whatever.
Until
Oh,
a
yeah.
podcast is made about it.
Or that.
Yep.
Yeah. I was thinking, I was like, If we were a true crime podcast, we'd have a lot of things to say about this guy.
Yeah, we would. But we're not. So
We're not.
not.
So I don't know anything like the psychological things going on with him and why he feels the way he does. And
yeah.
ugh. I just
I
know,
do know-
it makes me feel gross. Like that
Yeah.
the first scene after they've just killed him and they show Philip kind of like he's like don't turn on or he said don't turn on the light, right? He wanted to sit in the dark for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And I actually felt sick to my stomach in that moment. Like it
Yeah.
is such a like they just like killed someone and I don't know. And then Brandon's like, let's have a drink.
Yep.
Immediately, creep supreme. He is the creep supreme.
Yeah, and then just to bring up topics and to sort of push and prod Philip around a little bit in front of other people. When I was watching the very beginning of this movie, I, like you, Beth, had a moment of nausea and was actually appreciating that Philip's character really reels from the experience, that there is this very real before and after moment, and he has a conscience about it in a way that I'm so used to watching gangster movies
Right.
and stuff where people are like, throw him in the trunk, let's go get a soda.
Yeah.
That I really appreciated that. And then the hatred for Brandon took over.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. That's a good point, actually. It is really rare. It is rare to see characters in film have negative reactions to committing violence, but specifically because of the act itself, right? Usually if a character has remorse or whatever, it's because of who they've committed the violence against, but not necessarily the actual just the very act of it, right? That doesn't happen very often, I don't think, in movies and TV generally. Usually you're right. Most of the time it's just the whole point is these characters are just monsters. They're just meh, whatever. Life is cheap, blah, 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 bang, bang, bang. Let me shoot this guy again in the trunk that we thought he was already dead. Goodfellas. Check it out. AFI Top 100. Okay. But yeah, it is rare to see a character just be affected by the act itself. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he wasn't even scared yet of getting caught.
No.
Yeah, and actually, at the end of the movie, that's what he gives us his explanation of why he's been behaving the way he's been behaving the entire night. He says, I'm really afraid that we're going to get caught. But, to me, it seemed like he was just feeling very guilty.
Yes.
Not in a I'm going to get caught kind of way, but, what we did was wrong.
We had that Billy Shakespeare moment,
Yeah.
which I've
Oh,
already
yeah,
forgotten
and he looks at his hands.
Oh yeah.
for some reason.
Okay, I do. I also have a question about his hands because earlier in the movie he squeezes a glass or something.
Yeah.
And he
And,
cuts his
fully
hand,
cuts his
and then
hand.
they show his hand later, and there's no blood at all. The aunt is into astrology and
Yeah.
palm
Like
reading
palm
and
reading.
things like that. So she's looking at his hands, and I'm like, where is the cut? There's no
I think
blood
it's
anywhere.
there and just not well done. You can
Okay.
kind of. I think it's supposed to be on the crook of his thumb, between his
Yeah.
thumb
Oh, sure. Okay.
and index finger, and the way I was thinking that too. I was like, she's looking at his hands, and he just fully stabbed himself. I mean, you can see kind of a small red line. I just don't think it's. I don't think it did a good job on the cutting makeup.
They
Sorry.
should have wrapped his hand up.
Yeah.
Old Jimmy
But then
Stew
she couldn't
did.
read the lines on his palm to tell him that his hands would make him famous.
Oh, that's what it was, right? And then he
Yeah.
stared at his hands and
And
walked
then he
away.
does the shaky hand thing.
Good
Yeah,
shot.
He does a real
Yeah.
out-damn spot. Look at his hands.
Yeah.
Billy Shakespeare.
Real Lady Macbeth over here.
Yeah, real Lady
the
McBee.
Can we talk about my favorite shot in the whole movie?
Please.
It's where you hear all the dialogue happening, but classic Alfred Hitchcock move. He's got your focus elsewhere. So he has your focus on Ms. Wilson, who is clearing the buffet table
Oh, it was
Yeah.
so good.
That's really
slash
great.
chest. And it was actually the only time that I really felt myself, my heart start to race a little bit because I was like, she is going to open that chest.
Right.
Yeah.
And it takes so long with her going back and forth to the kitchen, and it's all happening in real time. And you just know, how, she's just going to open the chest, and then,
Yeah.
how horrible.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
really good.
It's a really good shot. Yeah, and then like at the same time, Jimmy Stewart's like I think he's kind of amped up his grilling. I think that's the first time he starts to suspect something's weird and off, and it might be murder.
Yeah.
And like his line of questioning is down that line. But yeah, just like why? And the angle's so weird of him being like not out of frame, but not really in frame as well. It's
Yeah.
just,
You get like
I
half
agree.
his jacket, basically.
Yeah, it was.
And
that
then
was
it's
really good
cool
filmmaking.
And it's cool that the like she kept going back. She kept going like a couple rooms back. Right? So like it took a minute for her to get back to the point of tension in the shot too. Anytime that she had to like move something back to the dining room.
Yeah.
Or move the books back from the dining room. It was really cool. Yeah. That was probably the best shot of the movie.
Agree.
Although I did really enjoy speaking of just like random stuff in the background, I did really enjoy it was just like this was definitely like just Brandon just being Brandon, I guess, because he didn't have to put on a show for anybody, where like he went to put the rope away the first time and then like the kitchen door like closed and then swings open. He's just like gleefully like dramatically dropping it into the drawer rather than just like putting it in there like a normal person would do.
Yeah, and the door like swings back and forth, and
Yeah.
so you like kind of get a glimpse of that. That was a great shot. I also love the light on the there's like some big neon lights on one side of the building that at the end start to flash green and red. They kind of feel like cop car lights, you know. It adds a lot of tension to that.
Yeah, Dan,
That
those
scene.
neon lights really added a lot, didn't they?
I'm just
Really
saying
glad
the
that somebody
background-
spent so much time on that set building
yeah,
out
instead
real,
of doing just a workaday scrim,
yeah.
like some people assumed it was.
I'm sorry I insulted your favorite movie. Yeah, I agree. The final shot's really good. It's very like we're in a play, like I said before, but it's I don't know, just the still picture of the final frame is really good of Jimmy Stewart sitting with the gun in his hand and everybody's just like accepted. The creep number 1 is making a drink because he's like, fuck it. And then creep number 2
Pouring a big glass of milk.
playing piano. Yeah, right. Wish we had milk.
Yeah.
Good job. Cinematography.
I like that in the olden days, instead of calling 911, you would just shoot a gun 3 times into the air.
Yeah, that's
And
then everybody
just
in the
as
neighborhood
good.
my
shouts at each
understanding
other.
from this movie. Yeah, my understanding of this movie is that the way it worked in New York in the late 40s is that if you wanted the police to come, you would just at least make what sounded like a gun shot, if you didn't have a gun handy, I assume, out your window. And then the neighborhood would just like get alerted to the point where they would all be talking to each other. And then eventually that sound would travel to the nearest police cars and be like, oh, is something going on? And they'd come over.
I feel like that was the weirdest choice for him to make. Only because they're going to be like, we heard a gunshot. Oh, you're the guy with the gun.
Sure.
You know?
Oh, but he's white. He'll be all right.
Yeah,
But they're
and he's
all
a
white.
professor, Beth.
Exactly.
He's a professor.
All right.
And you know what? Actually, he's the one sitting right next to the chest with the body in it.
Yeah.
But it looks like the way his arm was draped over it was almost really just protective.
Yeah, although he did, to some extent, though, his body language also just seemed like resignation, too. Like, he maybe didn't really give a shit if he got swept up in it, because he sort of feels to blame for the whole thing.
Oh,
right?
yeah. He has
Yeah.
a lot to work through.
Yeah.
Like, he has a realization that his words actually do have consequences. Like, you can't just talk about being superior to other people. Like, other people might feel that way, even though he's like, there's something inside of me that stopped me from doing that. It's like, so why did you talk about it so much?
Well, it's almost like if
Edgelord.
somebody had a lie and they just repeated it over and over again for political expedience.
Right.
And then some people acted on that lie.
Yep.
But then instead of feeling bad about it and calling the cops, you just doubled down and continued to be a senator.
Yeah, or like any
It's like a
public
very
figure.
specific
Yeah. Yeah, that
I'm
was,
stuck
example,
on
I'm
Josh
not-
Hawley.
He really does. Like, if you Google, I implore you listeners to Google Josh Hawley, the junior senator from somewhere.
Missouri.
Thank you. He actually does look a lot like Brandon in this movie, and it's sort of just like it says a lot. I think
But
it
he
says
was
a
like
lot.
Stanford, Yale.
It doesn't matter. They're all
Doesn't
monster
matter.
factories.
And I know nice people who went to Harvard. I
Sure.
should have mentioned that.
Oh yeah,
So.
me too. I know people.
Oh,
that went
yeah,
to
I've got all
Harvard,
these
too,
Ivy
and
League friends.
Stanford.
Listen, every institution of power can create a couple of functional human beings, but it doesn't change the fact that it's also going to let a lot of monsters get through society without consequence.
Well, I think there's that book, The Sociopath Next Door, that argues that a lot of CEOs and lawyers are sociopaths.
Oh yeah, heard of it?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, watch out, world.
Hey,
Yeah.
sociopaths,
Cool it.
cool it.
But also, like most sociopaths, thanks for not murdering people.
Yeah, actually, most
keeping it cool.
sociopaths do keep it cool.
But also, maybe some of you in your actions have killed more people indirectly than if you had just directly been murdering people. So still cool it, and you're monsters, and you should be ashamed of yourselves.
Yeah, but
Wow.
also I will tell us to cool it
Oh,
in that sociopath is a shorthand for murderer, puts some stigma on mental health issues,
True.
and sociopaths probably can also lead good lives without murdering people, and we don't need to put that on them.
and to be clear, I was not suggesting that all sociopaths are murderers. Or
Oh, you just
using
heard
as
it. Molly said all
shorthand.
sociopaths are murder.
Yeah, Beth edited that to make Molly sound like a monster.
No, being a sociopath is a thing. And most sociopaths aren't like causing direct harm, right? They just don't have a sense of humans the way other people do.
Yeah.
Plenty of
But
people
yeah,
are
but
murderers who are
I'm always happy
completely
to hear we should
neurotypical.
cool it.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
So hey,
Ugh.
everybody, cool it.
Well, on a lighter topic, the dress in this movie is by Adrian,
Oh, yes.
Oh, I loved that dress.
Costumes by Adrian.
who we know as the rival to Hank Cresthorn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Costumes
I
by
think so.
Adrian, Wizard of Oz.
I'm guessing.
But
I would say
costumes by
rival in the sense. I assume it's more like a one-sided rivalry, right? Where like
Yeah.
Hank Cresthorn thinks of Adrian as his rival, but Adrian does not think of Hank Cresthorn at all.
Yes. Adrian is so good that I actually don't know if Adrian is a man or a woman. Do we know?
Adrian is a man, I believe.
Oh.
Okay.
I believe his name is Adrian Greenberg, maybe, but he did
Okay.
not. He did not operate in Hollywood under that name. I think he
Yeah,
operated
so-
under like something
Maybe.
else, Adrian, but then was usually just credited as Adrian.
Interesting. So Adrian is so good at costuming that he was hired to just make one single dress.
Yeah,
Like got full credit for making one dress
Yeah.
in this movie.
it was amazing. Oh, you need a single dress for the one woman in this movie
There's
that does
three women.
not have a silly hat on and is not old enough where no one will consider them sexual objects. Yes, I will make you
your
the single
sexy dress.
I
to
will
like
make.
ruffle.
I shall entice the world with a ruffled shoulder and a little bit of extra fabric on the sleeves, just to know that there's more underneath, but you'll never see it.
And the color will be red for murder. By rope murder. A rope murder
Is
is
it
red.
red? I thought it was purple.
It's kind of like a maroon color.
Oh, there you go.
The color of real
Maroon
blood.
is the
not
color of
fake
yes,
blood they
exactly.
use.
That's exactly what it was. There's a statement by Adrian. I'm like, I will show the world the true color of blood.
It is really. I always notice that there was like a point at some point in movies where they deepened the color of movie blood. Because like this movie is it's like bright red, and you
Yeah.
see that in older movies. And at some point it was like, no, it's a darker red. Blood is. I don't
Yeah.
know when they did that, but it always takes me out of it to see such bright red blood in movies.
But okay, blood question.
Yep,
Blood question.
we're definitely prepared for this.
Doesn't
Yes,
blood
we know about severed butts and what happens to your butt when you die. So we're ready.
So blood is red. It can be that bright red, though.
Yes.
Depends on
say
how
you got-
recently it's been
Yeah,
oxygenated,
you
right?
got like a light. Yeah. So the dress that she wore is like old blood. Right?
Or like it depends on where. I mean, it depends on where from the body you are being exsanguinated too.
I would think it would be like liver colored,
What would be?
her dress.
Her dress. Yeah.
Oh.
You're saying that dress is the color of liver?
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds like an Adrian thing to do for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
We'll
kinda
take this
meaty.
beautiful woman and wrap her in the liver of an animal, the animal that has been processed and put into a chest and decorated with a candlestick decoration.
What? What? Yeah, yes, I'll make the dress. All right. Thank you.
I think Adrian might be kin to Peter Diamond. They might be both ancient Draculas that live in the
You
center
think they
of the
come
earth.
from the same they come from the same ancient clan of
Yeah.
beneath the earth dwellers?
Center of the Earth movie crew.
I love it.
But great dress.
Great dress.
There are two other women in this movie besides the one who wears the dress,
Yeah, there are.
and they both absolutely crush.
Oh
Mrs.
my God.
Atwater, the aunt,
MVPs without
is
question.
such a delight of like a maybe drunk, maybe just like a free spirit,
yeah.
astrology old kooky lady. I loved her so
I love
much.
it.
Big
Oh,
hat,
she was so good.
just so excited to be at a party.
Like the second she walked in, she just was already just like super bubbly and talking about nothing.
Yeah.
Like
About
just
not a
babbling.
man.
Yeah.
Yep, that's
Oh,
true.
yeah. And she
Right
and
away.
Mrs.
She's our
Wilson,
back to walls hero.
I thought we
Yep.
were just going to get the briefest of pass where they're talking about like,
Me
here's my
too.
hat, thank you. And I was like, well, I don't need to pay attention to these women anymore. But then they kept talking about all sorts of delightful things.
In fact, they talk in
wait.
front of a conversation of two men speaking,
Oh.
Yeah.
which was movie magic.
Yeah, they were great. Mrs. I loved how Mrs. Wilson was obsessed with that pate that she got for the party.
Yeah.
With that witch
Like-
that you got?
Pate,
The
just
pate?
it was like a waste
Oh,
of
the
she-
pate.
money, right?
Yes.
Like she said to Janet, she's like, "Oh, don't eat too much of that pate. It's so rich or whatever,
So fattening.
fattening." She
She said calories.
Yeah, that was a little
she like
body
apparently
shamey.
specifically got that pate because it's the kind that Rupert likes, and I have a question about that. I would like to invoke a certain segment, if I,
I would
may.
as well.
Did they bang?
Did they bang?
Did they
Did
bang?
Did
they bang?
Did they bang?
Did they
Did
bang?
they bang?
Did they bang?
Maybe.
At some point?
He's
think they
charming
want
her.
to.
He gets those big mountains of ice cream, which sort of introduced the idea of breasts into the movie. I'll say he's got two sort of
What?
milk mountains.
It
if you
introduced the
will.
idea of
Yeah, it's
oh
like
my god.
innuendo into
No, I-
What?
their bag past. So I think he says he wants to marry her, right? At some point or something like
Yeah.
that. So I think
Well, and
they,
they, like
that
the
seems-
second they start talking to each other, they have like a warm rapport.
yeah. If not
I
the past,
don't
then
think
the
that
future.
they banged.
Wow. I think they
Contrary
will.
opinion.
Yeah?
I think not now. Oh, maybe
Oh, I
they
think
will because
they're-
of a
they're
traumatic
bonded
event that they
by
both
trauma.
experienced together.
Right.
Yeah.
It's almost like they went through a subway car together.
Hypothesis,
Mm-hmm.
brand new. Is Rupert from the same school, but from a more modest background? Is he not as elite as those other folks from Harvard because he relates so easily and freely with Ms. Wilson and she speaks so freely with him?
Ooh, maybe.
Is there
That's a
like a,
good point.
different status?
Do you think he wheeled his way into high society with his murder philosophy? And all the psychopaths that were actually in charge were like, "Oh, this guy is great. I love
He
this
gets
guy."
it. All these
I
inferior
mean,
beings he's talking
Mrs.
about.
Atwater is laughing so hard at all of his hilarious murder jokes,
Yeah.
which I was like, are those jokes? It's not funny, really.
I mean,
I don't
that's what you're not
understand.
sure about edgelord. He's such an edgelord.
Still don't know what that is.
Okay, what is
Don't
it?
wanna
Is it like
know.
a gamer thing?
Is
Is it like a troll
Not really.
thing?
sort of.
There's
Is
a lot
it
of
a-
heavy overlap.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of heavy overlap.
Okay, so I think they will bang in the future. Is my verdict on that?
I think they already have.
Wow.
Yep. Listen, he's a free-spirited, murderer-talking philosopher, and he probably also talked about the philosophy of just banging whenever you do well, please. And she was like, I agree.
Yeah.
Let's go get ice cream.
Oh. How about
and
a
we know
couple
what ice
mounds
cream
of
is.
ice
You know what
cream?
ice cream means.
A double scoop.
Double
Hey,
scoop.
there we go.
I hate
Two
myself.
heaving scoops of ice cream. Can I request a second invocation?
Oh yeah, I had another
Yeah.
one as well.
Did they bang? Did they bang?
Did they bang? Did they bang? Did they bang?
Bang,
To the bang, to the bang, to the bang,
They,
bang. To the bang, to the bang, to the bang,
do
to the bang,
we-
bang, 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 bang.
Do we think that how do we feel about the heavy implications of Brandon and Philip's relationship?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
There's some
think they're a
tension
couple.
at the beginning. Yeah, they seem that way.
Apparently in the play, they were explicitly a couple.
Okay.
And
In
I'm
the
sorry,
movie,
are
less
you-
explicitly.
Are you stating a fact?
I am
from
stating a
certain
fact from a certain
source?
website, and I don't even care.
Wow. Okay, real quick before we
Wait,
do
care about what?
before we
You don't
do
care.
what inevitably is about to happen, I would like to say that at first I gave it the benefit of the doubt of like, well, maybe because the movie has to be in one shot, Hitchcock just insisted that everybody just stand really close to each other all the time to make it easier.
Yeah.
Those characters all do stand.
I mean, they
very
do.
close
Like,
to each other.
That like what gave weight to that theory was like later in the movie when Jimmy Stewart just like really just practically sits like on top of David's dad when they're eating on that couch. Brandon. I think it's Brandon
I think they
does it.
banged. I think Brandon and Philip banged.
I also think that.
Brandon lights a cigarette after they murder David, and like takes a big sigh inhale.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very like post-sex movie move.
That was intentional. That was definitely intentional.
Yeah.
And their dynamic just felt very much just like a couple in a very tense situation.
Yeah.
I do wonder then, is that a bummer
Yes.
to make
Yeah.
like
Yes.
evil homosexuals?
Yes.
It is. It absolutely is. That's definitely like a trope for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Super bummer.
It's like, ooh, they're also this kind of moral degenerate.
Right,
Is
yeah.
is
Yeah.
that what
Yeah.
the movie is telling me?
Yeah.
Hey, that's not cool.
No, it's
Not
not
cool.
cool. Hey, Hollywood, cool it.
Hey.
Yeah.
Everyone of any sexuality can be a monster. Okay?
USA.
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 I do have another pertinent Wikipedia fact.
Okay, a what
Okay,
fact?
here we go.
From Wikipedia?
Oh.
Time for Wikipedia.
Molly reads a
Molly wanted to
Wikipedia.
stop watching
She
this
got
movie.
bored and
Yeah.
discussed it at the
Molly.
movie.
She
Looked
opened
at her phone.
Wikipedia.
She read a
news
phone. She
story
opened
article.
reads
That's
some
what we're
facts.
for
And
And
about
then she
the
says them
movie.
out loud on the podcast.
Wikipedia.
.org.
Thank
.org.
you.
Quick shout out to the one listener who has not yet donated $3.
You're really
dollars.
holding strong
Yeah.
on not donating.
Yeah,
and
and it's frankly offensive at
yeah,
this point.
I like honestly have been crying most days.
Yeah.
You
Just
might be a
thinking about it.
sociopath.
Do you remember back 10,000 years ago when we were trying to figure out like which way like Nevada was going to go or which way Georgia was going to go
Yeah,
and Pennsylvania? You're that.
yeah.
You're our Pennsylvania, all right?
Just
So
the tension in our bodies right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're the Mrs. Wilson walking back and forth
Yes,
from
exactly.
the kitchen to the donate button.
Yeah.
When are you going to reveal the dead body in the chest of giving us the last $3
Right.
to
Exactly.
decide if the podcast is now only about Molly reading Wikipedia or
Yeah.
never about that, and whether or not Beth is Molly in that scenario or not.
In that Beth does the segment instead,
Right,
or
right.
doesn't do the segment.
which is
And
an
also-
additional $3.
There's an additional $3 to decide whether or not Beth or Dan is Beth
Whoa.
Is that true now?
Yes.
We're up to 9. Okay.
We're up to $9. Oh, shit.
Wait, don't tell them how much it is added together.
Oh,
it's
right.
just
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
sets of 3.
Yeah, it's
$3
fine. It's
$3?
just
That's nothing.
3 easy walks from the kitchen back to the chest where the dead body is. It's fine.
Ooh. Okay.
And and
That is the end
was
of our-
pre-recorded intro.
Yep.
And now it's time for Molly.
So, by far, the most interesting Wikipedia fact to me, aside from the background, which we talked about to some extent, is that everything, the whole set was designed so they could move the walls easily.
Ooh.
And the whole thing had to be choreographed very, very tightly because the Technicolor cameras were huge. And they had to be able to push them in and get them into spaces. So they would have to pull back walls. And that props people were constantly pulling stuff out and reassembling furniture and putting cushions back where they were and trying to make sure it didn't look different from shot to shot.
Wow.
But
Sounds like a
apparently,
nightmare.
our friend Jimmy Stewart was pretty frustrated with how it came together. And he was saying how the rehearsals were for the cameras, not for the actors. That basically it was just a lot of choreography
Right.
in order to get these continuous shots. And that
Yeah.
the consensus seems to be that it was an interesting technical experiment, and certainly the most interesting experiment that included such famous actors and directors, but not necessarily sort of like the broccoli of film, right? Like the film you
Expand
should
on this.
watch.
Ah.
Okay, this is me. This is not on Wikipedia, but it's like the film that you should watch, not necessarily the film you're going to enjoy.
How
I
dare
see.
you?
Are you a big broccoli fan?
Oh, I love
Me
broccoli.
personally, I love broccoli, but a lot of people
Well,
don't.
Okay.
Okay, I also
Okay,
love
you're just
broccoli.
perpetuating.
You're just perpetuating. This is like the wolf of
Stereotype.
vegetables now.
Vilification
Hey.
of broccoli.
This is major broccoli
Hashtag
vilification.
all my Brock fans.
Yeah.
Brock jocks.
Albert.
Brock Jocks. Trademarks. We're
Oh.
writing that movie too.
Hashtag Brock Jocks.
Can we take a moment to appreciate in all of this like insane choreography that meant that at some point someone working on that film had to like for at least a brief moment be like stressed out about hitting their mark to get Mr. Stewart his 2 ice creams.
Sure.
Oh no, did they look too much like boobs? Ah, I just handed it to him.
It's too late. It doesn't matter. Oh my god.
I will expand on Jimmy Stewart's frustration of like is more like interesting than good, kind of. I'm extrapolating. I kind of felt that way also, not so much about the technical standpoint, a little bit, but like the story I don't care about of like these 2 assholes killing a guy for fun and then Jimmy Stewart figured it out. It's like, I don't care about this at all, but I liked watching Jimmy Stewart walk around and Mrs. Atwater walk around.
When
and
Mrs.
like that
Atwater
part
came
was
in,
good.
I was just like, I'm in. I can
Yeah.
follow this now.
I just feel like I guess I could get this. I wanted like the same people doing a different story, which I guess I could watch Rear Window and still see Jimmy Stewart and Hitchcock.
Yeah,
And I did see it since
and
it's
him
on.
staying in one
AFI
place.
Top
And
100.
fun sets.
This seems
Yeah,
like
and that one's got a lot of long shots too.
I'll say this seems like
Hey.
the kind of movie that people would claim to be their favorite because it sounds more impressive.
Yeah, like if you're
Yeah.
just like in Chicago
If you're
trying to
from
find
Chicago.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
And,
Chicago movie.
It's a real Chicago.
I was just gonna say, hey Chicago. I think my favorite one is Rear Window. That is
Was
a great movie.
Your friend who tried out for SNL, Roger Ebert,
Yes.
Whoa.
Did he?
did he make
is
it?
this Robert Ebert's favorite movie? Is that a Wikipedia fact?
No, he's from Chicago.
Oh.
it's Chicago.
And he likes movies.
He likes movies.
Oh, checks
so
out.
Or
Okay.
hates them. That's his job.
That's
Right.
his job.
Yeah.
Fair.
Cary Grant is mentioned in this movie.
Oh yeah, that must have been so hard for Jimmy Stewart to
Yeah,
hear
I was
all
like-
these other celebrities gushed over.
I was genuinely waiting for them to like LOL mention James Stewart, right? Like I kept waiting for them to be
Yeah.
like do this weird meta thing of just like,
Well-
oh, and I saw that.
Don't you think that the comedy of it was they were like gushing over these celebrities
else,
that like
yeah.
are like not him?
Right.
Yeah,
It was
Yeah.
good.
but it was weird to have
liked
that
it.
little winky joke in this.
Yeah.
Right.
It kind of like
Yeah, it didn't really the tone doesn't really fit there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess I never thought too hard about this, but there was someone who was like, "Oh, I don't like knowing movies exist in a movie almost." It just feels like weird, like you can't know about, especially like contemporaries. They feel contemporary. North by Northwest, Cary Grant, Alfred Hitchcock. Also in the FI Top 100. No,
Okay.
Oh,
But yeah, it like took me out to a degree. I was like, what's going on here? Anyway, Cary Grant, also very charming.
Very charming.
one of my predictions from my pre-six summary.
PepsiCo presents.
PepsiCo presents. Was that Alfred Hitchcock would make a cameo, and in fact, he makes two.
Okay.
And I wouldn't have known this except for Wikipedia. He is one of the people on the street at the very beginning when the opening credits are happening.
Sure.
And his profile appears in neon as an ad for, a product that he references in another one of his films. I don't remember. Yeah.
So it's the Hitchcock cinematic universe, is what
Yes.
you're saying.
Oh, and he reshot the last 4 shots because he didn't like the sunrise effect in the background.
Ooh,
wow.
the background, eh?
Yeah.
The background, you say?
Yeah.
Interesting. It sounds
The
like that background was pretty fancy.
It was very elaborate, and those clouds were made out of spun glass.
Cool.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, they make sure that there's weather changes, all kinds of stuff are happening. In that
Well, it looked like
background.
crap. I hate it.
Wow.
The last
wow.
4 shots, how many shots were there?
Quite
Ten.
a few.
Clocking like coat zooms, and I
10.
thought I only counted 3, but I wasn't really paying attention.
Well, there was like code zooms, and then every once in a while it would just be like essentially like a shot of a tree where it'd be like, and now the camera's just going to look at this chair for a second.
I suppose it did, didn't it?
Yeah.
And I
Like a
think
table
there's
or whatever.
one where he doesn't even really try to hide it because them in a theater they would have to change the reels anyway.
Oh, interesting.
But according to Wikipedia, I believe there are 10 shots total.
Neat.
You're welcome. See, aren't you glad I read during the last few minutes of the movie instead of paying attention?
I'm always glad. I love this segment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love
It's
this
fun.
segment. I love the theme song.
The
And
theme
you know
song.
you know who else loves this segment? Everyone except you. You know who I'm talking to. One person.
Well,
Yes,
before
Dan?
we get to our final ratings of the movie, we like to read a review of the movie we just watched in the style of Jimmy Stewart. A review of Totes Recall, our podcast, a maximum star review. We don't
sounds
have one,
fun.
so we won't do that.
Wow.
Oh.
We also sometimes play voicemails.
Oh, that sounds fun.
We don't have voicemails, so we won't do that.
Oh no! Do people not know the number?
It's
I mean,
super
we have
easy
a
to remember.
great
It's
song.
just
But I think
612
808 The last
4 letters. that
the
you
last
typed
T and the
up
ADO don't matter, but you do.
You do.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
What? And
Or-
obviously, if you listen to the song and actually pay attention to the lyrics and not just be, one of those people who just, I just like the tune. Which is, the actual number, of course, is 612-208-9788. That is the Totes Recall voicemail line. You can leave us a mail line, and we will talk about it.
And if you don't have a writing utensil handy at the moment, you can always head to totesrecall.com, and it's listed there as well.
Yes.
Just have to click the link.
612. Let me start over.
Yeah.
The number is 612-208-9788. Put-a-do.
Great. But what we do have is also on Discord, which you can access if you're a patron. We put a call out for questions or comments on the night we record, and we have a couple.
Yay!
JBN Minneapolis asks, what is the best James Jimmy Stewart monologue, and why is it the one at the end of this film?
Somebody has opinions.
Someone does have opinions.
It is a good monologue.
It
It's
is
excellent.
A fantastic monologue. He's like stomping around and getting angry and calling them murderers. It was powerful to watch his progression of like fully coming out and calling them murderers, even though it's like, of course,
And
he
also
did, but-
like kind of taking responsibility for it at the same time.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 And for a movie that was circling the murder for so long, right? The building of tension, it was a great release of like rage at these
Yeah.
murderers.
Monsters. Yeah.
How dare you think that you're more superior than this other person?
Yeah.
Who could have loved a
Yeah.
lot better than you.
Yeah. St. Giwala says, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the real Leopold and Loeb.
Ooh.
I don't know who either of those people
So
are.
the play was based off of an actual murder that took place in Chicago.
Well.
Yeah.
Interesting.
By two students who went to the University of Chicago, I believe it was.
And they killed a
And
14-year-old?
they killed a 14-year-old boy just because they believed that they were superior and that they could perform the perfect murder. So I think they're shitty. Those are my thoughts on them. They're shitty people.
But were they? I mean, I don't know. Do we know anything about? Like, do we know if they were also like very upper class, elite people, or were they just
I think they
had a very particular worldview and their upbringing had nothing to like their like part of society that they were brought up in had nothing to do with it.
I don't know all the details of like their motivation beyond like that they thought that they wanted to, do the perfect murder and because they were superior and so smart.
I mean, when I Googled them, one of them basically looks like he's in a tux, but I think that's just that's probably from the trial, and he's just wearing a bow tie, and it's black and white, so it looks like a tux.
Oh.
They do look like douchey white dudes, just like the actors, though. So
Yeah. I guess now that I know a little bit more, I also don't like them.
ooh, they were two wealthy students. So there you go.
As we all remember, our rating system is Ropios,
Oh, right.
which are anthropomorphic.
I'm sorry?
Promorphic?
Anthropomorphic? We're in the Anthropocene,
Huh?
and these are ropes.
Yep.
These are Romeo ropes? Is that why they're Ropios?
Yes.
Yeah, and they have like a fancy, what did you call it? A Shakespeare cap, Molly?
Yes. It was
Yeah.
based on what you said, Dan Jaquette.
Yeah.
It's afraid-
Ropio and Julie Knott.
Nope. We just kept Ropio.
Yeah, I believe we stuck with just Romeo.
Dan, you gave it 4.5. The only notes I wrote for everybody was their favorite knot, so yours was the garlic knot.
Honestly, garlic knots aren't that great. Like it's just like leftover pizza dough that they like brush some butter on. Like I'd rather just eat more pizza, right? Anyway,
Sure. You can update your
Yeah,
knot
but
as well.
you can like
I'll allow it.
things that you can like things that are not great.
that's true.
Knot.
I mean, I
Top
like
knot?
Dan, so
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
Shots.
Someone
That was
called
just-
Bird War.
that was just an LOL. Hey, that was just an LOL joke. Just a joke, bro. I'm just joking.
Oh, no.
Fucking edgelord over here. I'm an edgelord. Okay. Yeah, I think I would agree with Jimmy Stewart's assessment that maybe the movie is more of a technical feat, or maybe this was Dan. I can't remember. I blended the two. I feel like you guys piggybacked off each other, and by piggyback off each other, I mean Dan did because Jimmy Stewart said this years ago and is dead.
R.I.P.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting, and it was kind of cool to see, and I was very much delighted by Mr. James Stewart, and especially that aunt, Mrs. Atwater. Is that right?
Yep.
Oh, so good. So I was not like angry about watching the movie, but was it a great movie? I don't know. It was okay. 3 Ropios.
Wow.
Great. Beth, you gave it 3.5, and you like a donut.
Great choice.
Still agree with my first half favorite not decision. And also with my star rating or my Ropio rating. I thought I was entertained by it. And I think that there are some really cool moments in the movie. Like we talked about the tension building of why can't I think of her? Mrs. Wilson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, going back and forth between the rooms and that, it's very well acted, but yeah, it's not one I'm going to go back to probably. If I'm looking for my favorite Hitchcock movie, it's not going to be Rope.
Yeah, Chicago.
Just saying that, Chicago. So yeah, I would say 3.5.
Great.
Great.
I gave it 4.5, and my knot of choice was the bowline.
Bolin?
Sticking with that.
You didn't
It's
check.
spelled
You
bowline,
didn't check.
and it's nautical. So maybe it's bowline.
Yeah, but nauticals is where they mispronounce things all the time.
Bowline.
Ooh, bowline.
Good tie the bowline off on your
I
forehead.
gotta get a bowline off of this USS.
It's me,
It's
Robert
me,
Redford.
Robert Redford.
My
I've got
yacht
my
out
private
here
boat
on the
here.
bayou.
Tie off a knot and just toss it
Gulf.
into the water. Catch myself a couple of catfish.
Wow.
I am going to drop it down to 3.5. I enjoyed this. I liked watching it, but it was sort of like, except for a few moments, it was more interesting than good. And yeah, if I'm in the mood for a little Jimmy Stewart or Alfred Hitchcock, there are other choices to be made that I would enjoy more. 3.5.
Great.
Ropios.
Wow.
Molly, you gave it 3, and you like the knot that you're tying in your daughter's shoes now. It's like a square knot, and then you kind of tassel the ends.
Yes.
It's like a frayed knot.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like that. Thank you. Well, first, I want to say, Ben Nemi, thank you so much for picking a movie we honestly would have never picked. And I'm glad I watched. And I'm embarrassed I had never even heard of it before.
This rating is about to be so low.
Softening the blow.
Well, and, on Rotten Tomatoes, this has like a 94, 96% approval rating.
Yeah, but they're all Chicago reviewers, right?
I guess
Yep.
so. And I have a very good friend that I respect very much who really likes this movie.
Is it your husband?
It is not.
Okay.
Although I
Are they
do
from
also.
Chicago?
No, not from Chicago. But so I really was primed to really love it, and I didn't. And I think the problem is the subject matter was just so hard to watch. And you do get that cathartic release at the end. There are some really beautiful unwinding of tense moments. It did actually make me long for live theater. But in the end, did I enjoy myself? No, because I typed in the chat many times, is it too soon to hate this? I hate it. Ew. Ew. And then at the end, okay. So I'm going to have to give it 2.5.
That's better than I was expecting.
Is it? Oh, God.
I mean, you did the first time you said, "Is it too soon to hate this?" I think it was like 10 minutes into the movie,
At
and
most
so I
10
responded,
minutes.
"Yes."
At most 10 minutes. It was maybe like 30 seconds after they killed the dude. And he was like, "Ooh, it's just a delightful artistry of blah, 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 blah. I'm very rich and I've never faced consequences in my life. Also, I'll be starting my campaign for state senator tomorrow. And no one will stop me or question my loyalty to the people of this great state and nation."
Too real. So anyway, thank you, Ben Nemi. That was so cool
Yes,
of you.
thank you very much.
Thank you for making us
executive
watch a
produce an
movie that
episode.
most of us hadn't seen.
Yeah, I mean, legit.
This movie consistently is nominated for Respect Listener Opinions Month,
Oh,
maybe by Ben.
Oh,
and
maybe.
then does not earn enough votes to be selected. So it's good to see a slow horse
What?
jump the line, as
What?
they say.
What? Who?
Do they?
No
says
one
that?
says that.
Oh,
Is that a
I guess we're
California
today.
thing?
You're just trying to, you got a slow horse and you just got to push it over the line, get all those other fast horses trying to get in your way, and then you just got to, well, some of these horses, they deserve to be murdered because this horse is a superior horse, and it's because of its pure blood.
Listeners, if we had a review to read, this wouldn't be happening.
It's true. I would have gotten it out. I would have gotten all my Jimmy out.
You know, and I'm glad that we watched this movie because of Ben, but mostly I'm glad that we had the opportunity to talk about knots.
Yeah,
I mean,
more not talk.
If there's anything I think we can all agree on, it's that Ben is so happy that we dedicated so much time to not talk.
In
Like,
fact,
it-
I think we should, I mean, honestly, we should just change our podcast, right?
to not
Totes
talk.
not call.
Yeah, we'll just next episode is all not talk.
Presented by Ben.
Presented
Yes.
by Ben.
Yeah.
I'll say, I'll do a video of me tied as best I can remember a bow line. And put that up on our socials.
Can you?
Maybe I'll do two. One without reminding myself how it goes,
Yeah.
and then one probably doing it
The
actually
Totes
right.
recall of
you,
nuts.
Probably will fuck it up.
Yeah, I love the
Totes
Totes
Recall
Recall nuts.
nuts.
That's amazing. Can you do the? Can you do it as Robert Redford?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Great. Get your money's worth, Ben.
Yes, exactly. You're welcome. Hey, everybody, you should be thanking Ben for giving you this incredible not talk and apparently continued not coverage.
Who knows? I mean, if it blows up,
If it blows up, we're
We'll
going to
do a whole
just pivot.
series.
We'll just totally pivot to knots.
Seems like a
Yeah.
thing that would like become popular on TikTok, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like, isn't there like a whole thing where like now there's like shanty TikTok, and so
Oh,
everybody's
yeah.
doing
I mean,
shanties.
Again, that might not be true when this comes out.
It's
right.
a tough
I mean, it was
knot
a thing.
to crack,
I'm just saying
but
it was a thing, and now the thing is not
Ooh,
TikTok.
maybe we could.
we don't have a
revolutionize-
TikTok yet. Maybe this
Oh.
could be our inaugural talk.
I mean, I feel like, based
Bad knots.
entirely on one person, my brother's YouTube habits, like there is already like a huge culture on YouTube of just like watching people teach you about the most mundane, obscure shit.
Sure, but is
So-
anybody doing like kind of a bad job because they don't remember it very well?
Great question.
Because we got that covered.
I love it. I love it. That'll be our new YouTube series. Trying to Totes Recall how to do things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
How to do things with Dan.
I guess if we were to reach into the ancient past, I had a
That's right.
short-lived web series called
Oh.
"How to Do Some Things with
Award
Dan,"
winning.
wow.
where I suppose I did almost precisely this of over-explain a simple task.
Yeah, but that's a little
So
different from this, where you're like
find
you
those,
are.
I guess.
Yeah, definitely find those. They're delightful. This is a little different though, because you're not over explaining it. You're desperately trying to like explain it to yourself internally as you do it.
Anyway, they were fun to make and got very few views. So the internet, but also hard to track Facebook views. They don't carry through onto your YouTube, which I learned later after I was like 6 people. Oh, bummer. Facebook's a monster.
Yeah. Hey, Facebook, you're a monster. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Zuckerberg,
.com.
stand up, turn yourself into the nearest Antifa office in our new world order.
Yeah. Just turn it off. Just go into your office and go what I assume is
turn
just
it
like a
off.
big switch behind like a bookcase.
Amazing.
Just turn it off.
Yeah.
So many people would just get up from their desk and go outside.
Yeah.
Go outside. Hey, hashtag opt outside. That's an REI campaign.
Oh, okay. Well,
Brought to you by REI.
nice.
Oh, I would love to have an REI sponsorship. REI, get at us.
Get
You're
at
one of
us.
my
Give us your
favorite.
canoes. Give us your
Ooh, I'll take a free
thermals.
canoe.
Give us your snowshoes. Give us your that
Tents.
chalk that rock climbers put on their hands.
Yes.
I love going to REI because it just feels like potential.
Yeah.
Sure.
Every time I'm in there, I'm
Yeah.
like, this is pure potential. Look at all the things I could be doing.
Yeah,
And
like
the
if
things
you go
that
to
you
like
could
Home
film yourself
Depot,
doing.
shoes or something.
you're just gonna
Yeah.
buy work. But if you go to REI, you buy dreams.
Oh, nice. Ooh,
Like-
that's
Yeah.
good, Molly.
Mhm.
I
I
should
will.
send that to REI.
Yeah.
For a price.
Yeah. REI presents Totes 60 pre-summary.
REI presents the end of Totes Recall. the end of the
outside.
episode, not the end
Oh,
of the show.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
wow, somebody's gonna pay to end this. Although I guess that's the Wikipedia
I'll pay to end
thing.
this right now.
Oh, wow.
Totes Recall is hosted by Molly Chase, Beth Gibbs, Dan Jaquette, and Dan Linden. Produced by Beth Gibbs. New episodes of Totes Recall drop on the 15th of every month. For more information and bonus content, visit us at totesrecall.com. Thank you so much for listening.